Like me, she had grown up out on the Delta, poor, like the rest of us. But she had known from early on that she wanted to be a girl. Like me, she had one dress she would wear far away from anyone, enjoying the fantasy for a few hours before returning to the grinding task of living. Mom saw me leaving one day. It happened to be the day I got careless. She saw the dress and asked me about it. Those eyes of hers dragged it out of me without her saying a word. Mom said nothing. Then she went in and got her best shoes and gave them to me. That day I wore that stupid green dress and those shoes for most of the day. Betty chuckled at the memory. Then I kept sinking into the ground with those heels, but I refused to take them off. Later, when I was 18, I came to the city and found work in a bar. I didn't know it was a female impersonator bar. But the minute I saw those girls, I was in heaven. They helped me, taught me how to dress and act like a woman so I could work as a woman every day. In time, I became Elizabeth Betty. I own several small shops in town now, and I'm quite well known. Now it's my turn to help you, just like someday it will be your turn to help some other young man realize his dreams. I sat there knowing she was right. The moment I saw Sarah in the mirror, I knew I could not give her up. But thoughts of Otis and Gramps, Janie and Benjamin ran through my mind. What would they say? What about school? What about Gramps? Mom told me to keep you for the rest of the summer, Sarah. She'll look after Gramps. Since you'll be here all summer, you can help me in one of the shops. I opened a new one not far from here, and I need someone to work the register. I knew, but had to ask. A girl? Of course. How else could you learn anything about being a girl if you don't look like one? Besides, it's a dress shop and all of my clients expect to see a girl there. Before I had a chance to say anything, she told me she was going to change again and for me to wait there, as if I was going anywhere without her. She returned wearing a gray skirt with a pink blouse and black heels and fresh lipstick. Ready?
What was I going to say? No?
She opened the door and led me outside, then to her car. I was nervous, of course, but not afraid. The scent of the perfume I had on, the taste of the lipstick, the sway of the skirt, the heft of the breast forms. They gave me confidence. Maybe unwarranted, but with my hair now so feminine, nothing about the way I looked spoke of a boy in a dress. I relaxed and let her take us to her new shop. Set in a wealthy neighborhood, her shop was painted pink and rose, just like my room. Inside were racks of dresses, suits, and formals. A small area of lingerie, including bras and panties, baby doll nightgowns, and short, thin robes of all colors. The counter was near the front of the store, with perfumes and sachets showing through the glass. We were the only ones there as she showed me around. Then, in a small office, I filled out the employment form. Used the name Sarah. Do you have a middle name? No, but my mother's name was Janet.
Can I use that?
Betty smiled and nodded yes as I wrote in. Sarah Janet Grant. Age 16. She showed me how to do things, staying there all day with me. That night she took me to eat at a nice restaurant. As we ate, a number of men came to greet her. All of them certainly drawn to her beauty. That's going to happen to you too, you know. Not me.
I'm not that way.
I mean, I never, you know what I mean? She smiled at me and said nothing for a moment. Then, you want to be a girl? Yes, of course. Why? Girls date boys, and boys are just smaller men, Sarah. And a girl as pretty as you will have boys all around. Nothing I said would change her mind, and all Betty would do is smile whenever I said no, making me wonder about myself. The next day, she had me do my makeup without coaching. Then I had to wash it off and do it again twice more before she said it was okay. I wore a yellow dress that had white trim, with white heels. Day after day, Betty kept prodding me, coaching me on how to stand and walk, use my hands, and sit. My voice was a tenor, but she showed me how to speak in a higher tone without sounding false. And each night, she made me recite from a book in my feminine voice. By the end of the second week, dressing as a girl every day, she said I was ready. Ready? Ready for what? It's time to see Gramps and Janie, Sarah. They set this all up for you, and now it's time you showed them the girl you have become. Instantly, I became nervous. Here, alone with Betty in a city full of strangers was one thing. But back home, my concern was etched on my face, even as Betty giggled at me. The first time I went back home dressed as a girl was hard for me too, Sarah, and I didn't have anyone to go with me. You'll be fine. And besides, they are expecting us. Wear the green dress and your black heels, but bring flats along. Betty, while always pleasant, never let any slack into my training, demanding that I do it right every time. All of the time. And this time I knew why. If I looked or acted any less than the girl Betty had shown me how to become, all I would be was a clown, or a boy in a dress with pretty shoes, and nothing more. An hour later, I appeared in the living room for inspection. It was a daily ritual, so Betty could see how I was learning. She smiled and nodded her head yes. The first time, she said I had done everything right. I looked in the mirror again for one last check, while Betty locked up. The green dress was a sleeveless sheath with a square-cut neckline. 2 straps holding the dress up in front. The hemline was at mid-thigh. My legs, long and trim, held tightly in the grasp of the pantyhose. My hair was pulled back on the sides to reveal my ears. Betty wore her white summer shift with white earrings and shoes, with a brown belt, which contrasted nicely with her soft brown skin. She was gorgeous in every sense of the word. Ready, I guess. She drove, while I sat, watching the scenery go by. The closer we got to home, the more I started to fidget, until she made the last turn. Then all at once, I relaxed. Betty pulled the car in next to Otis' house and opened the door. I waited a moment longer. Then Janie appeared on the porch and looked at me. I opened the door and got out, standing just like Betty taught me, waiting. Come here, girl. Let me look at you. I walked to the porch and took the 2 steps up to Janie and stood there, afraid yet proud, confused, but ready. Lord, you're beautiful. Just at that moment, Gramps walked out on the porch and saw me. We locked eyes. Then he let his eyes drift over me, from head to toe and back. A smile broke out on his face, that toothless grin of his, telling me all at once that it was okay. I went to him, even as his arms circled around me and held me tight. Feel as good as you look? Yes, Gramps. I feel wonderful now. Otis watched Gramps and me. Then I turned to him and let him pull me to him. Sarah has been working hard for this day, and in my humble opinion, Seth has gone somewhere never to return. In his place is this girl here, Sarah Janet Grant. I stood as they all looked at me. Then Gramps sat in a chair, never taking his eyes from me. Now that you have been with Betty for a while, learning how to become a girl, I need to know, is this what you want? Direct as always. His question went straight to the heart of it. But the answer rose to my lips before the sound of his voice faded away. Yes, Gramps. Now I know for sure. Before, I just felt this way. But now, you owe it to yourself to become the lady your mother, Janie, and Betty are. Don't be a prisoner of your pride, Sarah, and never do less than your best, because we all expect it from you. The minute you say you can't, then you won't and you will fail. I looked to Janie, who stood close to Otis, the woman who treated me as her own, a mother to me when I needed one, and a woman of infinite wisdom. Betty, silent as I stood under their gaze, finally spoke up. She can't stay here, which I'm sure you all realize. Sarah has a lot more to learn and she has to attend school and so on, so I want to have her stay with me. We can have Benny change her name legally and take care of the rest. Then she can live with me. Gramps started to say something. Then Betty told them that if I had any chance to succeed like they wanted me to, I would also have to take medication to help me develop a feminine shape. I know all of the right people, and she works for me at one of my shops, so she will be helping herself, me paying for most of what she needs herself, and become the woman you say she should be. Her points were all well taken, but I knew that Gramps would miss me a lot. Betty is right, Horace, said Janie. She is the only one that can help Sarah like she needs. If she stayed here, some of the other boys might hurt her, and you know it. Besides, it's time your family moved out of this swamp and into the outer world. Gramps knew that she was right, because he had said the same thing many times. He knew that he was the last of the family to live as he had for over 60 years. He would never move, but when he looked at me, I recognized the way his eyes smiled at me. And then his toothless grin opened wide, and his eyes sparkled. I miss your mother, Sarah, a lot, and seeing you reminds me of her. But you're the image of your grandmother at the same age, so I have something for you. He opened his hand to reveal the small ring. He handed it to me, and as I slipped it on my finger, he told me it was my grandmother's. It was her wedding ring, Sarah. Wear it always for me. I hugged him and felt the tears run down my face as his arms held me tightly. Okay, you too, we have food to eat. Janie took my hand, and I followed her inside. The rough walls painted white, the table worn smooth by years of service, and the small wood stove told of a family in love with life and each other. I sat between Janie and Gramps, secure and safe, no matter what I wore. But now, at this minute, I felt the love for me soaking in from all directions. Betty and I stayed until it started to get dark. Then, with tearful goodbyes, she and I left. The days went by quickly. Benjamin changed my name on all of my records, and I started to see a doctor. By the time school started in the fall, my skin was smooth to the touch. Betty had a friend come over, and using a technique many impersonators use, she changed me to look like a girl elsewhere. Her name was Sheila, and she was big, at least 6 feet 3 inches tall. She had huge blonde hair, but she was beautiful and well-proportioned. Because Betty had insisted from the first day that I sit for all functions, it was redundant for Sheila to remind me that now I had no choice. As I looked in the mirror, I felt my hopes rising equally with my confidence. Now I could wear anything I wanted without regard to hiding things or being embarrassed once in a while. But according to Sheila, that was now impossible. Betty taught me a lot that summer, but when I started school in the fall, it was a real eye-opener. Anything less than total respect, which gave him stature in my eyes. At Christmas, Janie and Otis, with Gramps along, stayed with Betty and me. There was singing and gifts, kisses and hugs for all. Food, too much to eat at one sitting, and of course, we had each other. Janie and I were doing the dishes when she asked me how my development was coming. And I think I surprised her when I said that I no longer used the breast forms. Clearly, I had at least a full A cup. Any boyfriends? Sounds innocent, doesn't it?
Tom.
We've been dating for a while now. Janie snorted, and we went on to put away the dishes. Later that night, Tom came over, but they all stayed silent as I introduced Tom to everyone. His gift to me was his class ring. Go ahead, Sarah. Put it on. I looked at Janie, who was grinning, then to Gramps, who was just watching. Otis finally spoke up. You better put that ring on, girl, or this young man is liable to think you don't like him. I slipped it on my finger, then let Tom kiss me again. After that, the party really got going and we all relaxed. Tom and Otis found out they shared a love for small wooden figurines. Gramps and Tom had an easy relationship, while Betty, Janie, and I sat and watched the men. All in all, it was a pleasant evening, and myself, I had it all. I was a girl now, plain and simple. Maybe not in the body, but in the heart, and everyone I loved and who loved me back agreed. I had stepped up to the abyss, looked over the edge, then made the leap, landing safely on the other side. Tom, who does not know, remains a close friend even now. We broke up that next spring, which hurt me, but was for the best. That summer, I became a female in every way possible. Janie died of a heart attack shortly after that, leaving Gramps and Otis without her steady influence. Otis and Mike moved in with Ben, while Gramps stayed in his cabin until that winter. Then he moved in with Betty and me. I graduated #1 in my class and was accepted at college, and was honored to have Gramps and Otis, Betty, Mike, and Ben as my guests. In all of this, I learned that what Janie had told me many times was correct. And I can hear her soft voice saying it even now. Pride is one of the 7 deadly sins, child, but so is prejudice. Never let others determine your life for you. Accept the family you have and do your best. Janie and Otis were my second set of parents, Betty my sister, and they all treated me that way. They accepted me just as I am, faults and all, boy to girl, and all that means. Gramps, soft-spoken and usually silent, led by example. And it was with great honor that I had the privilege to introduce them all as my family. Without them, I would still be out on the Delta, wearing that worn-out old dress instead of here, top of my class and headed for college, co-ed or not. Life isn't complicated unless we make it so, and finding the right road to follow is hard.